A number of wars are being waged at this very moment. The one we hear most about is the war in Afghanistan. This is because it's being waged by NATO. Until a year or so ago, there was also a war in Iraq, which involved the United States and Britain mainly. The Iraq War was waged because of the threat of weapons of mass destruction, which did not actually exist. The outcome of that war is a country which many Iraqis who had fled it are too frightened to return to. It's a much less stable country than it was. Afghanistan was invaded because of 9/11 and the fact that Osama bin Laden was thought to be hiding there. It was turned into a bloody conflict with a swelling number of Taliban fighters. It has not uncovered bin Laden or quelled al-Qaeda, but has led to an increasingly protracted series of campaigns which have often killed civilians and wrought havoc in Pakistan. It's high time that we all started to look at the whole issue of war. Not any particular war, but the whole concept of war itself. To have a war, you need rival armies, and to have those, you usually need rival countries or power blocks, unless you're having a civil war, each with their own armies. When the war happens, the issue is determined by which side has the most potent destructive power. In other words, might will be held to be right. Now, is that any way to settle a dispute? A playground bully might be bigger and stronger than the kids he bullies, but that's the very reason why we detest bullying. It's certainly no reason for rejoicing in his victories. How is war any different? The winner, if there ever is a winner, is simply the one who can hit harder than the other one. War in itself can tell us nothing about the rights and wrongs of a dispute. There is such a thing as justice. If two parties sue each other in a court of law, the matter is not settled by deciding who has the most imposing assets, but by which of the parties has the law on his or her side. True, the law can be an ass, but that's usually because the law itself is unjust and needs to be reformed. If we want a warless world, we have to have a government that has a just set of laws which can be impartially enforced. At present, the world is not governed by anybody. We have the United Nations organization, but we do not have United Nations. If we did, how could we still be having wars? What is needed is that nations be deprived of control of their own armies, thus making it impossible ever to use those armies to wage war against other nations. In other words, the UN has to become a government empowered to settle international disputes according to a code of international law. At present, the UN is able to control a peacekeeping force, but that's like asking it to close the gate after the horse has bolted. The UN has to have all existing military force under its command, so that it can use it, if necessary, to enforce its rulings in all disputed cases. Of course, there will need to be a machinery to ensure absolute impartiality and to prevent any abuse of the power vested in this international governing body. There must never be any question of the UN becoming a bully boy. There will also have to be a highly sensitive appeals procedure so that no nation or group which feels it has been wronged or deprived of a fair hearing is left feeling angry or frustrated. Many current international disputes have a long history, so that they're not going to be quickly or easily resolved. What matters is that the law by which a resolution is eventually reached commands universal respect because it's seen to be just to every party, quite regardless of size or bargaining power.